So here's a video on how to start a one-person business and actually scale it up to that infamous 10K per month mark within 6 to 12 months flat. So guys, welcome to this video. I'm actually going to be breaking down exactly what I just said, which is how to start a one-person business and get it to that infamous 10K per month mark. Now guys, I'm not too sure if you watched the previous video, but I'm just going to quickly define what a one-person business is for you guys. And I've got this written down so I don't butcher this, because I feel like this is a really good definition of it, because a lot of people have a different definition and different take on what a one-person business actually is. And I've been talking about one-person businesses, like I said in my previous video, since like 2018, so that's like almost 6 years now, guys. I've been talking about this for quite some time now. So here's what I define a one-person business is. A one-person business is a life philosophy and a vehicle that allows you, or any individual, right, to turn their name itself into a six-figure business, so they can do more of what they love whilst making a increased impact whilst doing it. And I found that it's the ultimate balance between the principles of Ikigai. Ikigai is it's a Japanese philosophy, or even just principle in itself, where you come up with an idea almost that, it's basically a business or thing that you can do with your life. It's kind of like a life meaning is what I would say to that. Like it's a way how to find meaning in your life, or what your life's all about, the meaning behind your life, should I say. So Ikigai is basically a concept where it basically pulls in, what you're good at, aka what you're experienced at, what you're skilled in, those two things, as well as what you're passionate about and what you can get paid for. Those four aspects right there, if you combine them and take from each different area and combine them all into one thing, that would be your ideal business and your life meaning. I personally sat down and did this for myself, and I noticed that I was really passionate about business. I was skilled at business, because at this moment in time, I've scaled multiple businesses to over 6 figures a year. I've done it in the form of done-for-you marketing services and content services. I've done it in the form of coaching/consulting, and I've also done it in the form of offering some sort of online program/course. So I've actually done it in all of those areas, every single one of them. So I'm experiencing all of those. And I can tell you right now, running a one-person business is the greatest out of every single one of them. Now, a one-person business, like I said, is basically getting paid for what you love, what the world needs, what you're experiencing, and what you can get paid for. That's genuinely what a one-person business is. And as it says on the tin, you don't need employees to do this. It's you by yourself, because you are the business yourself. It's your journey, your life experiences that make you the business. For example, my name, Montel Gordon, you can see that this is on YouTube, on my Instagram. Montel Gordon is not just a name for a person. It's now become kind of like a brand. It's like a brand online, aka a personal brand. Look at the name Gary V. Gary V is a brand online. Look at the name Tony Robbins. He's a huge brand online. You know Tony Robbins for a certain thing, which is his coaching, his life coaching, his business advice, his life advice, that sort of stuff. So what I found is there are quite a few benefits for having a one-person business. I'm not going to go through all of these, because I did go through some of these in the previous video. If you haven't watched that, I genuinely recommend you watch that first, then come back to this video. But the benefits of a one-person business is that, number one, you yourself are the business, so it can never become oversaturated. Number two, you are your own niche, so you have your own you have experiences that you can actually help other people with. For example, let's say you were struggling with video game addiction or smoking weed or whatever recreational drug that you're using that was really having a detrimental effect on your life. Let's say you've overcome that, and now your life is in a much better place. Well, that you can help somebody else with that, because think about it, your previous self was really struggling with that, and you probably would have, not only would you have wanted to have freed yourself from those addictions, but you actually went through, made a step-by-step plan and got yourself out of that. All you need to do now is think back of what got you from being addicted to video games to how you've overcome your video game addiction, and put steps in place to help somebody else. And the easiest way to do this is just ask yourself, what would you, if you was working with your previous self, what would you want to teach them to get them to where you are right now? For example, let's say you had a really, really nasty smoking addiction, right? And you did all these crazy, therapy sessions, and you just simply couldn't give up the addiction of smoking or smoking weed or whatever it is. Well, let's say that you've now successfully overcome that addiction, or you're even thinking about overcoming that addiction. Well, what I want you to do is think about the steps you've actually taken in order to overcome that addiction, package those up, and now give that skill back to other people, because that's genuinely a skill that you've actually had a transition in. So a one-person business is all about you having experience in a certain thing, creating your own unique mechanism of solving that thing, and then selling that thing back. So it's learn, test, sell. That's what it genuinely is. For example, I'll give you my example. I was really good. This is the very beginning, kind of like Montel stages when I was getting really good online. The first thing I started looking at into was doing outreach effectively. Not only just outreach effectively, but I noticed that to do outreach, you need leads. You need to generate leads. So I got really good at finding leads, sourcing leads, qualifying the leads, and actually then reaching out to the leads to set meetings. Not a lot of people were really good at that, and a lot of programs I went through were really lacking at that. So I then started helping people with that one piece of skill, and they were actually willing to pay me for that skill. Look how crazy that is. It's a very specific part of one business, which is SMA. I tried to start an SMA business, social media marketing agency, and I really sucked at just doing the lead sourcing stuff. So I went in there, started figuring out, all these different courses weren't really teaching me much about that sort of stuff. So I figured it out myself. I went through and I documented it, figured it out myself, and actually just started guinea pigging the strategies by myself. And then I come up with my own custom, unique way of doing that thing. Then I sold that thing back to people. That's all a one-person business is. And here's the craziest and one of the best benefits. The more experience you get in business or just life or in health, normally, by the way, a one-person business can be in, and these are the main areas a one-person business really thrive in. It's like love and relationships, like dating advice, love advice, marriage advice, divorce advice, that sort of stuff, those sorts of areas. So that would be like the love and relationship area. Health and wellness, health, fitness and wellness would be another area. And then business and finance. Normally those are the three top areas that most people want to improve themselves in when it comes to their overall life. So like mental health, physical health, overcoming some sort of disease. Think about anything you've tried, anything that you've solved in your life that would be valuable to the you that was like 2 years ago. So think back to you 2 years ago. What would you want to teach them now in your life? And if there is nothing, that basically means to tell me you've actually just sat underneath a rock for 2 years straight. And if that's the case, then what you need to do is start submersing yourself into information, knowledge, self-help, self-improvement. Learn a skill. Like go out there and really just immerse yourself into a skill. Learn marketing, learn sales, learn outreach. Become somebody's closer, do appointment setting. Just learn how to lose weight, learn how to gain weight, learn how to become shredded, learn how to go out there and date, become confident, learn how to dress, learn how to speak clearly, learn how to overcome addictions. Learn something, guys, because once you've learned a skill, you will have your own unique take on that skill, which nobody else on this planet will have other than you. And then what you can do is sell that back as a skill. So let me actually give you the steps for creating a one-person business. There's so many benefits to this, guys, but I want to break down the actual steps for this. So guys, what I want you to do, right, is just grab a pen, right, and a piece of paper. And the first thing I want you to do is I just want you to identify what your dream life would look like in like 5 years, 3 years, or even 2 years from now. And I want you to start setting some goals. For example, if you have you have a really bad smoking addiction, or you have like a really bad, like your diet's really off and you're really overweight, or let's say you've got like a video game addiction, or even let's say that you're completely broke and you want to start some sort of business. Well, where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you want to be this way? Do you want to look this certain way? How do you want to speak? How do you want to look? How do you want to feel in your life? How many hours of work per day do you want to do? How much money do you want to be making? Where do you want to be in life? Start setting some goals down, right? Start identifying your dream life and start setting some goals down. That's the first step. That's genuinely the first step. You just have to decide, right, that you want to better yourself, because no one's going to ever pay you if you're not bettering yourself. This is the thing with online coaches and that sort of stuff. The reason why online coaches are so highly paid is because all they do pretty much all day, every day for like years on end, even just continuously until they die, is they learn skills all over the place. For example, look at Tony Robbins. I bet you any money if you go back to his original like journey, and I've not actually done this, so you can actually see if I'm talking shit or not. But if you go back to like early, like how Tony Robbins got into business, I bet you any money, all he was doing was he was a broke dude and he wanted some sort of change in his life. And so he started maybe investing into courses, mentors, getting into self-help, reading books. I bet you any money that's how it started. And the reason why I say that is because that's how everybody starts. Everybody starts like, I started like this, Ian Mangaji started like this, Tony Robbins started like this. Everybody that's anybody on the internet starts with realizing that right now in their life, they're not where they're supposed to be. And if you're not, that's completely fine. That's actually where you're supposed to be starting. You're not in a place where you want to be right now. So you identify where you are right now and where you want to be, and you start setting goals. Once you start setting goals, what I want you to do, and by the way, it's absolutely imperative that you start setting goals, because this next step won't work. So what I want you to do is start learning skills that you need in order to achieve what you've just put down on a piece of paper. For example, if you said you want to be overcome this alcohol addiction that you've got, or this whatever addiction that you've got, or you're overweight or whatever it is, well then you're gonna start needing to pick up books around that. You're gonna have to start learning skills to solve that said thing in order to have the dream life. So for example, let's say you said that you really want to overcome your video game addiction. Well then what you can do is just start Googling how to overcome video game addiction and start just immersing yourself in all the top books, all the top habit books, how to break bad habit, all the books on like breaking bad habits. You immerse yourself in those and you start learning other people's frameworks, right? And whilst you're doing that, so this is kind of like step one, identify what your dream life looks like and start setting goals. Number 2 is you start listening to other people's way of doing it, aka you start learning skills from other people and learning their techniques and methods, what I like to call frameworks. You start learning other people's frameworks from courses, from books, from mentors. Go out there and invest in yourself. But basically you start investing in yourself, or even just taking action for free by using YouTube videos, podcasts, courses, getting mentors and stuff like that to teach you how to overcome that said thing, or even go from point A in your life, which is where you are right now, to point B. So let's say you're broke. Well, you start you start picking up books about, learning how to start businesses. You start really immersing yourself into those books. So that's step 3, learning the skills. Step 4 is that whilst you're learning these skills, right, I want you to start documenting what you're doing just for yourself on social media, whilst giving out tips on what's worked for you and what's not worked for you. This isn't you teaching, by the way. I know that a lot of people are going to be scared of this because they're going to be like, oh my God, you're telling me to jump on YouTube and create videos about this, even though I'm an amateur. That is literally what I'm telling you guys. That's quite, in fact, let me zoom in. That is exactly what I'm telling you guys. Please, please, please take this serious, because this is exactly where everybody else starts. The camera's shaking a little bit. This is exactly where everybody else starts and where I started. If you go back on my channel, go back on anybody's channel, you'll see that pretty much every single, brand that's genuinely good started by just documenting them when they didn't even really know what they were doing. Like, look at my channel, go back to my first video. I just documented my journey from literally $0, saying that I want to better my life and that, I'm going to start trying all these different business models out. So I used it as like a video diary, but I gave tips on like what's genuinely worked for me and what's not worked for me. And if I was teaching this back to my younger self, myself 2 months ago, I would probably not do that thing then. I would do this thing instead. I wouldn't invest my energy there. I'd invest my energy here instead, because it results in a better outcome. So that's the 4th point. The 5th point is what you're going to start doing now is once you're learning all these skills, you're immersing yourself in all this and you're documenting it. I want you to start experimenting and actually taking those skills and start using those skills that you're starting to develop now. And obviously this is going to take quite some time to learn these skills. It could take anywhere between 1 to 2, maybe even 3 months to start learning some skills. So most skills can be learned very quickly, by the way, guys. You can become very, very good at creating TikToks or short form content probably within 3-4 weeks. Literally 3 weeks, you could probably get really good. You learn from YouTube videos, podcasts, forums, pick up video editing tricks. Literally just type in video editing or short form content editing on YouTube. Watch the first 50 videos. Literally just immerse yourself in it for 90 days straight, and you become a genius at that thing. I'm not joking. This is how you do it. This is what I had to do, by the way. I set myself a 90-day challenge. I've mentioned this on my channel multiple times. Originally I set myself, my first ever 90-day challenge I set myself was every YouTube video I ever watch from here on out for the next 90 days is either going to be sales or marketing. It was actually sales, by the way. Sales was my number one thing that I was really stuck at. And every book I pick up from now on is just going to be on sales. Everything that I listen to is going to be sales. So I just immersed myself in sales and I actually got really good at sales. That's literally how I genuinely became good at sales. I'm not even joking. Ask anybody that's been following me for 2 years. They'll know. Ask people in agency instrumentation. I literally mentioned this in my actual program itself. So you experiment with, whilst you're learning these skills, you're documenting them. You're going to then start, this is the next step. You start actually implementing those skills on yourself. For example, let's say you go out there and you start learning sales. Well, then what you do is you start using your own sales techniques that you've learned from these books, these courses that you really like. So let's say you've learned from 3 different courses, or you've got let's say you go and find some free courses online, or you invest $25 into a Udemy course. Well, then what you do is you start taking the best bits from one course, the best bits from another course, and then the best kind of like techniques from a book. You start combining them into your own sales script, and then you start leveraging your own sales script to see if it genuinely works. You can actually go and, do sales to somebody else and bring those same sales skills into that person's business and see if it works. Then what's going to happen is these experiments that you're doing, these are little experiments, by the way, I'm not saying that they're going to work. What I'm saying is that you're going to take, let's say somebody says something in a book and it really like rings home with you. You're like, oh my days, that's a good idea. I'm going to try that on my next sales call. Then what you do is you note that down, you take note of it, and you take that skill in, and then you leverage it. And then let's say you find another point from a completely different author, from a completely different program or different book. You take that point from him or her, and you actually implement into your sales kind of like repertoire of different skills that you've picked and mixed from everybody. Then what you're going to do is the next step is you turn your own experiments that you're doing on yourself. Once you start getting successful, you start documenting those successes, and then what you do is you start turning them into your own frameworks. For example, because you're now taking, let's say you've got six different sales concepts from 6 different people that are completely irrelevant from each other. Let's say you read 6 sales books and you take one really strong point from one sales book, another strong point from another sales book, and you do this for all 6 books. Well, now what you can do is combine all of those into your own 6 unique steps of closing a sale. And then what you can do is you can give your framework a name, right? And then what you can do is, because you've got your own frameworks now, you've got your own unique way of doing things. This is the exact same way how I came up with agency trimutation and the hybrid system. I went through all these SMA courses, learned from everybody in the industry, took things from certain people like mentors, courses, books, trial and error, experimenting on myself. And I came up with my own unique way of doing that, which was the hybrid system. Everybody knows me on YouTube now for talking about this hybrid system thing where I use Upwork and then leverage that and then, use the money to build out what you call an outreach team, and the outreach team helps you scale further. Well, I wouldn't have come up with that idea if I weren't testing this on myself and trying to do the thing myself. Then I turned it into my own frameworks, and then I sold those frameworks to other people, and I sold it for low, by the way. So that's the next step. I guess this is step 6. Step 6 is you turn those frameworks that you've been, the different pieces that you put together, put them all together into one thing. You give the framework a name, and then what you do is you start testing that framework. Now that you know it works on yourself, you start testing it on other people, either for free or you sell it to them for low ticket. So for example, you could learn how to leverage like those 6 different sales concepts from all those different books that you read. Then what you do is you put it into your own framework and you call it your 6 steps to close sales, or whatever it is, your 6 master steps to closing a sale. That will be your own framework name. You come up with a better name than me, obviously. And then what you do is you start either giving it to other people for free in like a 4-week coaching call, like 1 call per week for 4 weeks, or you can sell it to them. You either give it to them for free or you sell it to them. If you're really, really unsure about it, just give it to them for free, see if it works. I honestly would just recommend you charging around $250 to $500 for a 4-week program. Anything less than $500 for a 4-week program is absolutely insane. So I probably wouldn't even do that. I would charge like $500 US dollars for that. So then what happens after that is you start establishing proof of concept. So now you've sold it for at least one time for $500. What you can do is start turning your frameworks into a proper offer now. So your frameworks went from coming up with business ideas to change your life, to learning skills, to documenting yourself learning those skills on YouTube so other people can see what you're doing. Then you experiment, using those skills from other people, those teachings from other people on yourself until you start seeing results, and you document the results. Then when you start testing out experiments by taking other people's concepts and combining them, so you experiment on yourself. And then what you do is you turn those experiments into your own frameworks. You then make sure the frameworks work on you. Obviously, you get proof of concept from your frameworks, which you already have at this point. Then you turn those frameworks and you actually sell them to other people, or you give them to other people for free. And you turn those frameworks, after you've done that, or after you've helped at least 3 people for $500 each, you turn those frameworks into a proper offer now, and you increase the price, and then you actually sell that as a one-to-one service, such as like a done for you service or done with you service, which is coaching, or you could just do the thing for them, actually close for them, or you can actually just teach them how to close, for example. And then what you can do is eventually then turn it into a online program. Then what you do is you just sell those those frameworks back to people who are 1 to steps behind you. That's all it is, guys. That's literally all it is. I'll repeat the steps real quick. So first step is you identify what your dream life looks like and you set goals. You then start learning the skills you need to achieve that life that you've just written down. Once you're learning them skills, you document on YouTube and start giving out tips on what skills have worked for you and what skills haven't really worked for you. You then experiment with those things that you're learning from all these different books and courses that you're taking and stuff like that on yourself to see if that you can actually genuinely get success with these things. The things that do get you success, you keep. The things that don't get you success, you throw away. You then start experimenting with, combining certain frameworks together into your own unique framework, and then you give your framework a name. You then test those frameworks because they are on yourself. Once they work, you then test them on other people, either for free or you get them to pay for it. You then turn the frameworks into an offer, a service, course, or coaching. Then you then sell those frameworks back to people who are 1 to 2 steps behind you. That's all a one-person business is. And the more experience you have in life, the better and the more potent your offer is going to be. The more you can help people with, and the bigger problems you can solve. And the bigger problems you can solve, the more money you're going to make. Now, eventually, and this is like the next step after this, those are the steps that you would need to go from 0 to 10K, by the way. Those steps, I just go back and rewatch it. But if you want to go to 7 figures with this, what you would do eventually what you're going to do is you then turn those frameworks into a repeatable result that has the ability to be sold without you, learned without you. So, for example, if you've got a skill where you're helping somebody with sales, normally it's going to start off with you helping somebody one-to-one, either do the sales for them or you're going to teach them how to do sales. It normally starts with either one of those two things. Then eventually when you get really, really good and you start building your name out, obviously, maybe like after like 6-7 months or whatever it is, after you've got lots of case studies and proof under your belt, eventually what you're going to do is you're going to take it's the exact same frameworks that you've just been helping people one-to-one, but you're going to then turn it into a repeatable, productized version of it, where you're getting a result for somebody and all they're doing is buying almost like a program at that point, where it's a repeatable result that you're selling that can be sold without you, that can be learned without you or implemented without you, all whilst you are able to sleep. And that's how you're going to be able to scale that up to 7 figures. AKA, let's say you've got a program on sales and you're helping people one-to-one, that eventually what you're going to do is you're going to take those frameworks that you're helping people with one-to-one, the exact same frameworks, and then what you're going to do is you're going to turn it into an online program or a course, or figure out a way to basically sell the thing, get clients results, all whilst you sleep. So think about your sales process. Well, you're going to need to do outreach. You're going to need to get somebody on a call. You're going to then need to sell your program, and then you're going to need to deliver the actual program. Once you figure out how to outsource or even automate each 4 of those processes, that's when you can turn your one business into an automation machine that basically makes money whilst you sleep. And until then, you're not really going to be free. I mean, you're going to be kind of free. You're going to be a high paid consultant, but even consultants, when they're really high paid, they're still trading time for money. Eventually what you want to do is you want to move out to being a very high paid consultant into a kind of like consultant, but who has automation in their business. For example, let's say take agency traumatization, for example. Agency traumatization went from me just helping people one-to-one with just showing them how to use Upwork, and then take that money from Upwork, once they've closed clients, into hiring virtual assistants and then getting clients from that. I took that same concept and how to build an agency, obviously, that comes with it, and I put that into an online program. Once I had enough proof of concept under my belt that it worked, built it out into age traumatization. So now I didn't have to work with people one-to-one every single time I had a new client. That's basically what I'm talking about here, guys. Now, it's not all about, selling courses and all that crazy stuff, but it's about how you can actually assimilate information, diagnose that information, leverage that information and guinea pig it on yourself, then sell that information back to people. And then once you've figured out a proof of concept, selling it back to people, and it gets enough proof of concept and just proof in general and credibility in general, that's when you can scale it up and go, crazy with it. And the only way you can go crazy with it in terms of like scaling it is that you need to separate your time from money. Once time is conjoined with money, you're always going to have limited money because there's limited time. But if you can disassociate money with time, that's when you're going to start making a lot of money, guys. That's when you're going to start making money while you sleep. For example, there's people that buy age traumatization like while I'm sleeping, and they're able to purchase the program without me saying anything or even talking to them. They are able to enroll into program, learn from the program, get results from the program, and change their life from the program, all without even having to say a single word from me. Now that's an amazing feat, and obviously it takes time to get there. So I'm not just saying go launch a course right now. That's definitely not what I'm saying. I'm saying go through these steps, and eventually you can get to this point where you've got a one-person business that's pulling anywhere between 30 to even 90k frigging per month, or even beyond, guys. Like, I'm trying to aim for 150k per month, and I know that this is how I'm going to do it, by building my name up, giving goodwill out there, you know, learning concepts, becoming smart on myself, figuring stuff out myself. And then once I figure those things out, I can then sell it back to people, because that's the most ethical business you can actually come across. It's just like learning how to drive a car, and then now you can pass that knowledge on how you basically drive cars to other people. It's the most logical, ethical, non-scammy business I've heard of. It's just that most people have a bad reputation or a bad stigma around people who sell information. That's all it is, guys. Now, if we can break that and actually do this legitly, which is what I'm trying to say, then we're going to have really good one-person businesses. So I don't recommend you skip corners, guys, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, guys, if you do want help with your one-person business and turning your name into a six-figure brand and a six-figure business by helping you create what you call a one-person business, drop me a DM on Instagram, or better yet, if you're ready, just click the link below, book in a call with me, and then what we'll do is we'll jump on a call and see if you're genuinely a good fit for the 10 spots that I have available to help people scale their business up by helping them create their name into a six-figure brand so they can get clients coming inbound. By the way, this works if you're actually an agency owner as well, because what I can do is I can actually teach you how to actually leverage what I like to call the Kaizen social funnel, which is a funnel that I basically can implement in your business, where you build up your name in a certain industry, a certain specific industry with a certain specific outcome. AKA, let's say you help e-commerce brands with Facebook ads, I can help you build your name up in that particular area, industry, and then what I can do is help you get clients coming to you, so you don't need to do outreach. That's the whole aim of the game, to get clients coming to you, because you have much more power that way. Anyway, guys, if you're interested in that, booking a call with me below, or even just send me a DM on Instagram at montel.gordon. Anyway, that's enough plugging for you guys. See you guys in the next video. Love you guys. Peace.